Thank you, Dr. Hawkins, and what an exciting day today, not only for Troy football and Troy athletics and Troy University and our community, but throughout our state and throughout college football. And certainly as this announcement unfolded and, as Dr. Hawkins said, we've been in dialogue quite often, several times a day for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And as we approached this decision, we talked about the press conference and trying to keep things. And I know Neal's children are here. My daughter is here as well. And we're getting close to that Christmas time and the anticipation of Christmas and walking in on Christmas morning and unwrapping that present full of surprise. Well, in today's world of social media, that keeping the present wrapped until Christmas morning and unwrapping it and have that surprise has a tendency to go out the window a little bit. But certainly we're excited about this. And as news of Neal's appointment as our new head coach has spread, I can't tell you the countless folks across college athletics who have texted me or emailed me about what a tremendous hire, and certainly we feel that way. Before I get into that, I do want to thank some folks. First of all, certainly Dr. Hawkins, and as we were here for the celebration for Larry and Janice on Saturday night, I mentioned this. There are a lot of tremendous athletic directors, football coaches, basketball coaches, all kinds of coaches in the country who are somewhat handcuffed by having a chancellor or president or administration who does not fully understand the power and strength of what college athletics can do, not only from a PR standpoint, but from an enrollment standpoint and everything else. Well, we are amongst the very lucky ones because certainly Dr. Jack Hawkins recognizes the power and understands truly what college athletics can do for a university, and I'm very grateful for that, and thank you certainly for your leadership and certainly in this search for giving us the latitude to be able to go and target the guy that clearly has established himself head and shoulders above some very, very strong competition in this process. Certainly, I echo what Dr. Hawkins says about our Board of Trustees. Tremendous, very involved, very supportive of what we do, and thank you all so much for what you do. We also had a 17-person advisory committee for this search, and I see some of those folks here, Nick Severa, Benny Beard. I see some others in here too, and I apologize if I don't recognize you by name, but that group has been tremendous too, a tremendous sounding board for me to be able to bounce information off, for them to provide information to me, and I thank you all for your service in that respect as well. Dr. Hawkins stole my thunder a little bit. Certainly I have to thank my wife Heather because, yeah, that's true. Probably for the last 4 weeks, I think I've laid my head on my own pillow 2 consecutive nights one time, but glad to be through that process, and certainly thank you as always for your support in terms of hey, it's a partnership, and I know Neal's going to talk about this a little bit too. We could not do it without the support of our very supportive wives and certainly strong cheerleaders for Troy University and Troy athletics. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention this group. And there may be a couple of you folks out here, and I mentioned this in an interview the other day. And you're going to try to figure out why I say this. But I also thank the many, many internet experts out there on our fan sites, because all of the expert advice, you need to hire this person or that person, or this person's bought a house already in Troy, or this and that has happened. And you may say, well, why do you think that? Well, first of all, let me say, I'm not guided by those internet folks at all. Yeah, I do go on there about once a week just for some kicks and giggles and see what folks have to say. But I will say this, those folks that get on there and engage have passion. They have passion about Troy University, and I don't ever want to pull the reins back on passion. I want everybody to be passionate about our athletics program, our football program, and I will say this, I want to use this opportunity this new beginning today, which we are very, very excited about, as a call to arms. And there are some tremendous folks out here in terms of buying tickets and donating towards that building that we are working to get started here in the very near future, doing all of those things. But I ask you to talk to the folks around you, get further engaged. Many of you who have gone on our website since last night have already seen you can already buy your season tickets for the 2015 season right now. Buy them as a Christmas gift. Buy more than you bought last year, because for us to be successful at the very highest level, which we are going to do, we need everybody pulling from the same end of the rope towards the common goal of Troy University football, and it's going to happen with this guy right here. They're going to talk about Troy football in the same breath as Boise or Northern Illinois. They're going to say, we don't want to play them because they're going to kick our tail. So we are excited about that, and I do put that challenge out there to every one of you, and I know a lot of you already give at a very high level. You already buy tickets, but I challenge you to do everything you can do to help us be successful. I want to talk just briefly about the process too. Over 100, this process started about 8 weeks ago when Larry announced that he was stepping aside, and I would be totally remiss. I know Dr. Hawkins has covered this a little bit, but you talk about the 100+ people interested in our job. You talk about the people calling me about our job, or people that I have talked to, the Jerry Jones of the world, the Pat Haydens, folks who, Archie Mannings, the who's who of college football. And the reason they know about Troy football and they're interested in Troy football is attributable to that man right there. Thank you very much, Larry Blakely. But through this process, we were able to narrow down to what we thought was probably the 8 to 10 people who fit what we were looking for the most. And as we started this process, again, about 8 weeks ago, there were 3 things that stuck out that we felt were the most important qualities. One, a recruiting machine, somebody who has a proven track record, who has a plan of attack, who can go out there and find us the very best players. And that is extremely important, not only for that individual, because as many of you know, today's successful, whether you're a CEO of a company, whether you're an athletics director, whether you're a football coach, you can only do so much as an individual. You better surround yourself with quality people. So certainly not only what that person does, but what the staff that they assemble around them. And Neal's going to talk about that here in a few minutes. Very excited about that. That's still a work in progress, but we're certainly very excited about that. So a recruiting machine. Number 2, certainly bringing a proven track history of accountability and discipline to our football program. And I know there are a handful of our staff members who were in Neal's meeting, his first meeting with our team this morning at 7 o'clock. And I'll tell you this, there was a come to Jesus in there. I mean, I think he got folks' attention real quick, and certainly look forward to that. And he has a demonstrated track history. Being a coordinator here at Troy, was the youngest FBS coordinator here at Troy for 2 years. Moved on under Tommy Tuberville at Texas Tech, and then certainly the last 2 years under Mark Stoops at Kentucky. And then the third item is kind of a nebulous term, the fit. Certainly we were looking for somebody that fit Troy, that it wasn't a prerequisite that you've been here before, but certainly that's a huge plus in Neal's corner. But certainly understanding our place, how it works, our vision for the future, and those expectations, and certainly Neal does that. And as we went through the process, I had the pleasure of visiting Neal and Brooke and their kids in their house one night, and I probably overstayed my welcome because Brooke prepared us a delicious meal. I got to visit with the kids for a little bit, and then we probably spent about 4.5 hours, just Neal and I, downstairs in their basement talking football, talking life, and I could tell there was a chemistry and a click right there. But one of the things that stuck out to me that Neal said is, he goes, I've always been at have-nots. And when I first heard that, I kind of looked at him a little inquisitively, and he went on to explain. He said, well, I come from a small town in Kentucky. I went to play football at Kentucky. I wasn't the most talented, I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't the fastest, but I found a way to do it. He said, then in my coaching career, I'm at Troy, I get my first opportunity as a coordinator. He said, Troy doesn't have the most money of any budget, but we found a way to get it done. I go to Texas Tech, and yes, Texas Tech is a BCS level school, but if you look at the budgets in terms of Big 12, Texas Tech is at the bottom. We got it done. I go to Kentucky, and yes, Big Blue Nation, certainly in basketball, Mitch is funneling all the money he can to basketball, but in football, it's there on the level with the lower tier of budgets for football in the SEC, and we got it done. He said, you know what? I like that challenge. I'm an underdog. I operate with a chip on my shoulder in a very positive way, because that chip helps me bring it each and every day to be successful. And boy, when I heard that, I said, I think this is going to work out. But certainly we're excited about this. This business is all about relationships. I did not know Neal Brown before that night walking into their home. I knew some guys that know him very well. He has the guy that was the best man in his wedding that's actually been a longtime friend of mine that's in the business, a character guy. And Coleman Barnes, who's at Miami of Ohio now, Coleman told me, he said, hey, this guy, he's got it. He's got it. And he told me this about 5 years ago, so I've kind of followed Neal. And you never know in the incestual world of college athletics where your paths cross. But certainly when I sat down in the Browns' home about 10 days ago and felt that passion for about 5 hours, I said, hey, that guy's our guy. So without further ado, I am so pleased to introduce the guy who has brought it here his first day, and he is going to bring it every day and take Troy football to new heights, Coach Neal Brown.